I love saying, "Hey, we're live" because we're not actually live, but
We're
and
live enough. We're
yeah,
live
so
enough.
I know it's weird. Like I actually stream with you during this is what 2:30 for me in the afternoon, and I'm used to going like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, yeah. This is I'm about an hour and a half away from getting
Yeah,
ready to head into work. So
yeah.
I just finished the episode like
Um,
two
uh,
minutes ago.
Before we get into it, I do well. It's it's kind of hard to say anything was better than last week because that's a pretty fucking low bar. So at least it was better than last week's.
Way better. Way better.
Yeah. Well, let's do our breakdown because my our buddy R when he sees this, he texts me and he made some good points. But oh boy, back to well, episode 6 is called Adios, which I guess it's
Mm,
foreshadowing something gonna happen.
mm.
Mm. Yeah, so good old Raylan talking to Carolyn, and at least at least they didn't he wasn't kissing her.
Yeah, we really went we really went back on a uh that whole whatever that thing was happening, that
Oh,
bounce empire type romance drama stuff that was going on last episode. We really dialed that back down. So
yeah,
like I kind of thought that would be an anomaly, and I'll speak more on this later as we get
yeah,
closer to the events, but it's shaping up to be something else.
yeah,
So I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all.
yeah. Well, this thing, it's and I definitely want to hear your opinion on this. So, Raylan wakes up, she goes to his hotel room, and she talks about the book, obviously from Sweetie in
Hmm.
last episode, and the speech she gives him. And R mentioned this again. I won't get mad about this because I can see people in 1980 or 2023. She's got to give them the whole history of like back in the 60s. There was a bunch of black guys that were for mistrial, and you're like, do you really need to keep pushing the whole everything's racial card?
I mean, there are people in 2023 where that defines their entire personality.
Exactly.
So whether it be a right winger like Candace Owens, or whether it be a pretend race baiter like Kamala Harris,
Yeah,
there's really no in between, especially if you get into a city like Detroit, where like that takes on their entire personality.
I agree.
And if we're being honest, uh, you know, that's it's basically just a ploy to try to gain sympathy or gain somebody's, you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah,
she doesn't really even believe the stuff that she's saying.
yeah,
She's just trying to, hopefully she's coming from a position where she's asking Raylan to do something that is not serving in his best interest, and
yeah,
she's trying to manipulate him as best she can.
yeah,
And again, I'll speak more on that as we get closer to uh
yeah.
where
And
that is in the story.
that's what's scary, dude. Is like if this what we said with the whole political landscape now. If you made a film in 1990 that talked about cops beating shit at black guys, it was happening throughout the history of this country. But now, though, when you talk about it, it's just weird how it's the same, but we look at it differently. So I mean, honestly, back in the 60s, what she said wouldn't surprise me if that really did happen. Come on, it's Detroit doesn't have a great history,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, exactly.
But 100%, like you said, after the bullshit she told Sweetie, so when she's giving Raylan a speech like, "Oh well, I got this book and I want to make real change and I'm doing this for the right reasons," and I'm looking at her like, "You are so full of shit, lady. Come
Yeah.
on."
Well, I mean, she is have to remember, she's a lawyer. She's always out for her own best
Yeah,
interest. So she may even believe some of the stuff that she's saying, but
yeah,
it's at the end of the day, everybody's gonna be looking out for their own self interest and stuff.
yeah. But but nothing from her character for the past 6 episodes do I believe for a second that she has this book and she wants to clean up the city and do the right thing, and make it a better place to live. And this whole fucking goddamn city's corrupt. Come on.
Right. I mean, it's like any other major city. So I mean, whatever she thinks that she's going to do or not do is really irrelevant.
Yeah. So I was shocked because you called this last week. You thought that that was the last we would see of David Cross, which I'm like, I didn't think we'd see him again.
Yeah. I liked it. It's very. There is. I mean, I guess I'll just touch on this now. Being an Elmore Leonard fan in the way that I am, there's two major tropes that he likes to do. I mean, he has many, but
Yeah.
two of the major tropes that he does is he'll have he believes in chaos. He
Hmm.
believes in the chaos theory. Everybody's running around doing a bunch of different schemes and stuff, and in TV or movies, things make sense, but in the
Yeah.
real world, they don't. I mean, me and you know this. I mean, how many guys were locked up in the joint because they had a warrant out on him, and somebody's girlfriend was mad that somebody was cheating, and he's heading to McDonald's and he gets popped by a state trooper.
Boy, oh
You know what I
boy.
mean?
Yep.
Having nothing to do with whatever criminal stuff that he was actually into. So I mean, that's one
Yeah.
of those things where this guy's just butthurt about his stupid painting, and instead of taking the L, he goes
Mm.
back to what he already knows. I mean, hell, he could have done a million different things, but he goes back to a criminal underworld figure,
Mm.
and who had stolen from him, and
Yep.
says, "Hey, go wet this guy up for me and get my painting back." So
Yeah.
now we've thrown in another random
Yeah.
uh, person into the mix doing a bunch of random shit.
Mm.
And again, lower level than Mansell, and not at his level.
Yeah.
The other trope is that you have people who are not criminals trying to do criminal things. They touched on this in season 6 of Justified, where I'll remind you, they had uh, Sam Elliott as the big bad that season, and
Yeah.
he had originally hired mercs, ex-military contractors and stuff like that. And Raylan reminds him, he's like, you got these guys that look cool in black shirts and are good at killing, but they're not good at crime.
Mm.
So Sam Elliott takes the advice, and he gets that gunslinger Boone.
Mm.
Which was a great character. And that's the thing. You got these people who are not used to doing crime per se, and they're trying to get into the criminal, so they're making mistakes that criminals wouldn't make. Criminals make enough mistakes on their own.
Yeah.
But you got Carolyn thinking that she's slick, calling Sweetie, and I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but
Yeah.
she, that inadvertently spoils everything. You know what I
Mm.
mean? It's too many fingers in the pot.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's it was nice to see David Cross again.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, like when he talks about the stealing and he wants his, recompense, but the guy Lonnie says, I don't want to hurt anybody. Oh, you don't have to hurt anybody. Nobody needs to be killed. And as soon as we're talking about this, I'm thinking, all right, dude, you're gonna deal with Mansell. This is not gonna go well for you.
No, no.
So, but it's just funny how Lonnie initially says, I don't want to kill anybody, and I don't plan on killing anybody. All right, we'll see how that pays off later on. But
Yeah, and yet the first thing he does is get a switchblade.
yeah. So I did like this scene, and it's Mansell like him as a bad guy, but this entire sequence with him and Sweetie and this guy, he goes there and he gets uses the paper, comes back with the fucking cash, and Mansell's like 15 grand. And again, I mean, I don't know, like this was like last episode. I'm thinking to myself that if you have this big ass blackmail book, like you're only taking 15 grand, that seems so like, I mean, his girlfriend wants to go to fucking to Aruba in the Bahamas, and you're taking 15 grand. That's such a low payout, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's even funny. So he comes back, he's counting what's going on. He's like, well, there's only 12 grand in the bag.
yeah. That's another big Elmore Leonard trope of somebody trying to shortchange somebody for a slightly smaller amount of money, and that's such an Elmore Leonard line. I love that line. It was we had some really really good Elmore Leonard dialogue in this episode. I loved it. Almost everybody got to spout off at least one Elmore Leonard line. It was great, and it was if the guy's got 12,000, he's got 15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course, in Free Mansell, he backs the car in there, and it's like the way the guy gets fucking killed in Mansell, it's kind of stupid, but also funny. Like he wasn't there to kill him. So he's like, I tried restraining myself, and the guy plopped off the fucking side.
Yeah.
It's like
typical
shit.
Mansell.
Yeah,
Typical Mansell.
try to find the 3 grand elsewhere. It's like, oh, there's 3 grand hidden somewhere in his car. But I said at the time, I'm like, well, Mansell, boy, it's if you're gonna be a criminal, we said last week, go big or go home. And I'm like, you're only extorting 15, but and like you said, the guy's like, oh, Sweetie's like, he only had 12, and dude, that bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, we really get to the point where we're understanding that Sweetie's not even trying to do this scam. He's trying to he's just trying to get get Mansell satisfied and get him out of the picture. He doesn't even care. He doesn't even care about the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for me, it's like it's if you want to get rid of Mansell, just make as much money as possible and just get him the fuck out of here. It's like he just feels like he's like delaying the inevitable.
Yeah.
This upcoming scene with Raylan and Maureen here, it's like Raylan's being he wants to do things the right way. He wants to set them up. And I'm watching the scene again. Do you understand any dialogue where she's like, "Oh my God, you're sleeping with his lawyer"? Like,
Yeah,
where did Raylan at all give off that vibe of he was fucking Carolyn? I
because he started using lawyer speak because him and Carolyn had
oh,
come up with the plan of
gotcha.
how to do it, and I think he popped off with a couple of lawyer colloquialisms while he was speaking to her.
Because he says he's
Um,
like right here. Every move Mansell makes could be somebody killed. We have a chance to do this a different way. Some
mhm.
might say the right way, and I feel like I'd be remiss. And
Remiss.
she's like, Jesus Christ. So you're sleeping
Yep.
with Mansell's lawyer. So yeah, because he's not talking like Raylan.
No, he's talking like Carolyn. So she basically coached him into this plan, and it's not a bad plan.
Yeah,
But you do you see the significance of the person that they wanted to utilize, her rival for the bench?
yeah. So
So
what
it's
the
win-win for Carolyn regardless.
yeah, so the plan is that they want to set up Mansell, have the book in hand, get him caught red-handed, and take care of him. That's the
Mm,
plan. Like you said, it sounds good on paper, but so now of course Lonnie goes back to Sweetie's bar, and he then was it Sweetie's boyfriend has a call Sweetie, and more of like now Mansell's going back and forth with his girlfriend because she's still kind of like, hey, so when the hell we going to Aruba? What's up with all the money? And he's like, well, I have to give Sweetie his half, and she's like, we already have 10 grand already. When are we packing our bags to Aruba? So it's like
yeah,
she wants to get the fuck out of here too, and
yeah,
it's weird where he's like 20. She's like, well, 20 together or 20 more? And he's like, 20 more. But again, dude, maybe it's like, I guess Yumi been in the streets and stuff long enough that I'm telling myself that if you got 30 grand, it's 2023. And how long do you think 30 grand's going to last in fucking Aruba? You know?
not long, and especially not the way that they live.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that I mean I don't think he's actually intending to actually go. I think he's telling her what she wants to hear.
Good point.
I think he wants to drag this out as long as possible. And
Yeah.
to a certain extent, he's kind of like Billy the Kid
Yeah.
telling his crew that they're going to get down to old Mexico when really he wants to just keep riding.
Yeah. And another good scene right here. So Sweetie, it's like you can tell he's getting like the build-up intention with him. Mansell's getting worse and worse. But then he looks over. What's that? He goes, "Oh yeah, this is a great painting. This Stanley Gerlich here." And he goes, "You didn't go back." And it's like, are you surprised that he went back?
Yeah, I sometimes it cracks me up how much the people in this universe that have been dealing with Mansell for as many
Yeah,
years as they have, they don't seem to know what he's about. Whereas we, just knowing him
yeah,
for a few short weeks, we know exactly what he's about.
100%.
So,
Yeah, because we talked about that. The second, I mean, I was waiting because when that scene was happening with him and David Cross and Sweetie, I'm like, this is something's going to go down. We called it out later on the episode. When he goes back, you're like, I fuck was waiting for that because just based on how this guy is, like, why wouldn't he go back and get this whatever $100,000 fucking painting or some shit? Like,
mhm.
yeah, he said Sweetie's like, oh, you went back? Yeah, it's like, dude, you know what the fuck you're dealing with? But yeah, so now we get Raylan and Boyd just said the lawyers competition right here, and it's just like it's man the way Raylan's breaking down about the whole the her and the judge and how they're fucking crooked cops and they're hiding evidence and like it's it's like that we got you by the balls, and it's like that we know, but also the thing is they're playing her as being fucking bait. She tells Raylan, she's like, "Well, okay, you want to make me a CI? You got the warrant, or do you have the mutiny agreement? Are you ready?" He's like, "Well, we can minimize the damage." And she's like, "Minimize the damage? She ain't fucking stupid. Like minimize the damage. You better give me a fucking immunity agreement or something. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
help you."
yeah,
So, and I like the way he talks about freaking. He said David Copperfield. Like, how did you? It's amazing how you guys would take guns and guns just disappear, and how you're shifting evidence around and shit. But
yeah.
the whole how corrupt everything is. So they want to use her as fucking bait. So
Well, not only do they want to use her, Carolyn wants to use her because
that's true.
She wants to get rid of her political rival. She could have basically said, "Just pick somebody out of the
That
book. It
that's
doesn't
true.
matter."
Yeah, good point.
She wanted to get rid of her.
Yeah. So we come up with a pretty good scene with Sweetie and Lonnie here, and like he calls him the guy Bulldozer, which is David Cross's character.
Hmm.
And just yeah, and like you can see the evolution where just Sweetie now really wants to get rid of Mansell, and he makes like this little side deal with Lonnie here.
Yeah. That's another. That's more good criminal dialogue. You know, people with a past history. It's a really dense universe. Something happened in the past. He was working for him, whether it be legal or illegal,
Yep.
and or maybe a bit of both. And they had a falling out, but he falls back on past traits. And again, more Elmore Leonard type situation where you have
Yeah.
this guy who is sort of a white collar criminal
Yep.
and is definitely more. And he's trying to resort to criminal, machinations in order to make something happen. Very similar to like Get Shorty and stuff like that, where you have these people who are Hollywood people trying to be criminals, and the
Mm.
criminals were trying to be actors and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then going back to Lonnie, where Sweetie tells him about, it's like Sweetie wants him to take care of fucking Mansell. And at first he says, he's like, well, I'll kill if I have to, but I'm not trying to kill. But if I have to kill, I'm going to.
Hmm.
And he talks about the money because then he says he's like, he's going to give him because this is after the phone call with the council check here because he's like, well, I have 30 right now. So he offers that 30 over to fucking Lonnie to be there when they set up Mansell.
Right.
And of course Lonnie's like, well, I made a deal with Bulldozer. He's like, yeah, but his Bulldozer going to give you he gave him $6,000 in cash. Here's $6,000, which he got from the fucking remember the previous night was 12,000. So he just
Hmm.
gave him his half of that cut, which is $6,000. Now he's offering him 30 extra grand that he's supposed to get from the setup. So basically, yeah, so Sweetie's making no money off any of this shit. He just wants
Right.
fucking Mansell out of his life.
He just wants Mansell gone. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh shit. So yeah, he tells me he's gonna be. He's like, I'll tell you where he's gonna be. He's gotta go. He's like, not getting paid enough for that. He goes, you just said now you'd kill him. He's like, if I said I'll do what it takes to get paid. But yeah, but Sweetie already fucking knows. Like, if I send you there against Mansell, it's not gonna turn out good, dude.
I like how the juxtaposition of what, you know, the very first thing that Carolyn does when she starts heading towards an end game with this book, when she wants to quote unquote clean up the city and do these great
Yeah,
things and stuff like that. She falls back on, well, who am I going to have help me do this? Well, I'm going to
yeah,
have this lawman, but I'm also going to talk to my criminal friend, Sweetie, and see if he get everybody's got their own things that they're trying to do, and they start to conflict with each other. The only person with a real clear goal is Mansell,
yeah,
and to a certain degree, Raylan.
yeah. But it's like Raylan has a goal, but all these fucking different things keep happening to stop him. That's why all this fucking corruption is what's slowing him down. Like it would also be a 2 episode show, but Raylan should have had this shit taken care of by episode 2. But then you wouldn't have a fucking entire season of a miniseries.
Right.
But yeah, back to back to Mansell and Sweetie here. And he wants it's like how Sweetie fucking just plays stupid and sweet talks some and like, oh, we can't do this. And he's so good at fucking feeding into Mansell's ego that he wants to give Mansell the page and have Mansell go freaking to the woman there and do the setup. So pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty interaction with Sweetie and Mansell. Then of course, fucking Mansell's girlfriend. She goes to fucking pawn off the painting. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Again, because she doesn't. She's starting to get the feeling that they aren't really ever going.
Yeah. And like you said, now we have a very good phone call between Carolyn and Sweetie. Yeah, that shouldn't. That's not gonna go down well. But
No.
yeah, and I do admit this. Now this scene coming up though, because good old our buddy Richard and RR talked about this whole park scene. How did you feel about this? Like it did feel like, dude, man, it's like Mansell. I'm telling myself, guys, it's
No
like,
way. There's no way he's walking it. Yeah, it's a Mansell again. He is you know, Raylan gets annoyed later on in this episode talking about, I've never seen a criminal get so lucky. I mean, did he forget Boyd Crowder? How many times did Boyd Crowder get fucking lucky? I mean, hell, Raylan is the king of having recurring villains. I mean, yeah, except for the ones that he shot. The almost all, Dewey Crow, kept coming back all the time.
yeah,
These guys get away because, again, chaos reigns. But again, on
yeah,
top of that, Sweetie may be good at sweet talking Mansell to a degree,
mm,
but I'll tell you what, he doesn't sweet talk him as much as he thinks he's sweet talking him,
Good point. Yeah.
because Mansell smelled a come on. He
Mm,
smelled that it was a trap. That's
yeah.
why he didn't. That's why he didn't go in with a weapon, and that's why he didn't have the book with him.
True, yeah. And it's funny how this set up where it's like number one, Lonnie said Lonnie pulled out a fucking knife. He had the intent to take care of business,
Oh
but
yeah, oh yeah,
it was cool though, like how fast though. As soon as he sees the fucking setup and stuff, he puts the switchblade away and just walks right past like nothing. It's like
yeah.
nothing's
That
going
was
on.
pretty smooth. That was
Yeah,
smoother than I gave him credit for.
yeah, 100%. I thought right there, fuck, he was like something was gonna happen where like they were gonna gun him down or some shit. But
Yeah,
okay,
I kind of thought that was going to end in a gunfight. Now, had
yeah.
that been the Justified TV series, that would have been a gunfight.
Oh yeah, oh, good point. So yeah, but goddamn, this whole sequence and it's boy. But one thing though, and it's like I gotta give it said Mansell credit, man. Him and Raylan had this fucking speech where it's like, Jesus Christ, this dude is so cocky and arrogant. It's like Mansell
Yeah,
just he comes to the fucking park in front of Raylan, whips his dick out and just fucking like lets him see it, like and just fucking
yeah,
he's like I quit the speech he gives him about like he's like yeah I did it, it's I killed the fucking judge and I killed the judge and you can't do a fucking thing about it. Like oh shit,
right.
it's like
Yeah.
wow,
I personally think that he never had any intention of that being an actual blackmail drop or anything like that. You notice that this was the first one that was actually in the daytime, and all the other ones were either indoors or in the evening or something like that.
yeah,
So this was the first one in broad daylight. He smelled that coming.
mm,
So and on top of that, I think he really just knew he was going to run into Raylan. I think this was all just about showing his flag to Raylan and
yeah.
saying, "Hey, let's just do this. Let's just end this in a gunfight."
Yeah, pretty much. Like his exact words. He's like, I'm sitting here out in the middle of the daytime. I'm sizing you up, and yeah, he gives a good fucking speech to Raylan. So
Hmm.
that's one thing we said even episode one though. It's like he's Mansell, man. For the guy is like the term you used was sociopath. Like the dude's not fucking stupid, man. God
No, he's
damn.
not. I think that's the thing, because he's so flamboyant and he's such a wild card, and he does all this kind of flights of fancy, and he's very. I like that earlier in the episode. Uh, when they're talking about music and how he steals cars just to have tape decks in them. Sweetie says that's just mercurial, and I mean that's a good word to use for him.
Yeah,
That's how he is. And that's right there. That not fitting any kind of a box
yeah.
is how he keeps getting past these situations, because you can't predict something like that. You don't know what he's going to do.
True. That's what it's like. We always people keep coming back to it. Why is a fucking Joker considered Batman's worst villain? And he said that in the smart writers in movies, comic books, cartoons, and Batman's like because he's the one thing I can't prepare for.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
mean, is every fucking villain, everybody knows how to prepare for it. This son of a bitch, it's like he's the guy's a fucking maniac and he's unpredictable. You never know what he's gonna fucking do. It's
No.
you know,
At
but
any given moment, and he'll take it all the way or he'll leave it. It doesn't matter to
yeah.
him.
But yeah, like you said, this is the last sequence before the show ends, and this is Raylan is in the car, as his exact words. Ever since I landed in this town, ever since I come across this dude, I never seen anybody get so lucky so much in my life.
Yeah.
And when and,
Which again, I would submit there's been Boyd Crowder was fucking lucky, many times. So I
yeah,
mean, shit, he shot Boyd right in the fucking chest, and he walked away from that. But again, I do understand his frustration. I think he's finally starting to piece it together, and I like where this is going, and I'm glad we've caught up to it at this point. I
yeah,
believe that I believe that we're setting up Carolyn to go down. I think we're going to end this series with her in handcuffs, which I would
maybe,
very much like to see, because I think she's crossed certain lines, and I think
yeah,
Raylan now realizes that Carolyn has been crossing a line,
mm,
and that the reason why uh, Mansell keeps walking away is because she keeps mucking up the works.
mm,
Most of and that's definitely why he walked away in this time,
yeah.
because she decided to pick up the phone
You're right.
and warn Sweetie off, and in that way, Sweetie tried to warn Mansell off.
Yeah, no, because like it's because Raylan's telling because you can tell his partner is an corrupt Wendell, and he's like this shepherd. He said, if anybody's that lucky, and he goes, I wonder if some combination of this dead judge and this alleged book and this particular shipbird is maybe making people act in ways they otherwise wouldn't. It's
Now,
like,
because you realize that Lonnie still showed up for the hit, so it wasn't Lonnie that Sweetie called off to say don't show up. He
mm,
called Mansell to not show up, but Mansell chose to show up anyway.
yeah, good point. So yeah, boy, freaking sees. Yep, and Raylan's talking to Carolyn here. I like this freaking what he says. He's like, he goes, I want more. I don't know what you got out of this, Carolyn. But all I got was a bit of a bruised ego and a monster who now thinks he's untouchable. Like, that's a good line.
Yeah.
So,
Again, so much good Elmore Leonard dialogue in this. His
yeah,
son definitely has the pulse of what his dad was
yeah,
trying to do. Where everybody says the coolest lines
yeah.
right at the right minute. The stuff that you wish you could go back and say. That I think that in an interview, Elmore Leonard said that once, where he was like, they were like, "How do you come up with such cool dialogue?" And he's like, "Well, I think about stuff that I wish that I would have said in a conversation, and I go back and have my character say it at the beginning."
Yeah. So we get the last it's basically 8 minutes and stuff, and Lonnie comes back to the bar, sees Sweetie, and like as soon as Lonnie walked in, I'm thinking like you've watched the show enough and Justified, like something's about to happen. It's come on.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it. Like so
Yeah, it kind of sucks because I thought he was a pretty good villain, but at the same time, you knew something was about to go down.
yeah. I mean, well, it's like with freaking Menso killing Lonnie, that was me. I knew that was gonna happen. I did like the fucking quick joke freaking where David Cross calls. He calls, he's like, time to pack my bags.
Yeah, he did. He's like, yeah, I don't think he's going to be screwing around. I think he's actually going to head out.
He's like, no, he's like, it's time to go. It's time to go to the Bahamas.
Yeah,
Yep, he's at her.
definitely time to go to the Bahamas.
Yep, the last 5 minutes, a very good fucking speech with Mansell and Sweetie. And I mean, at some point we both called it where we weren't sure if Sweetie would make it to the end, but we knew Mansell obviously would. And it was
Yeah,
like at some point, if when will fucking Mansell turn on Sweetie? Because we're both predicting that he's probably gonna pick off his girlfriend, but Sweetie we're still unsure of because their history. And he proved right here that man, fucking really good sequence though. Like I like the way he says he tells fucking Mansell to look him in the eye, look me in the eye. He just want to listen to his shitty music and stuff. But right at the end, he tells remember Sweetie when he goes to unplug the freaking jukebox there, he's trying to find the weapon. And
yeah.
I think Mansell already knew about it because he knows the weapon was gone.
Either Mansell has it or somebody else grabbed it.
Yeah.
So yeah, because it wasn't there, was it?
No. Because right there, it's freaking
I think that'll be revealed next week. I mean, it could be anybody. It could be Mansell's girlfriend. It could be the boyfriend. It could be, Lottie, the boyfriend, or Sweetie's boyfriend. It could be, I mean, maybe Sweetie. Well, no, Sweetie didn't move it because he thought it was there.
exactly.
But I mean, yeah, somebody moved it.
So right here, this is where it's 5 minutes in. His exact words were Mansell, like you're saying, he had a feeling Sweetie was bullshitting him, but he's like, yeah, Sweetie. So I thought we had he's like, it hurts, Sweetie. He's like, I thought we had like a gentleman's agreement. So he knew he fucking set him up. He's like, you
Yeah.
of all people, I didn't think I had to watch my back with. That's just lazy. He's like, that's on me. I know that. And like, so right there, he's like, dude, and Mansell's got the fucking gun in his hand waiting for him. So
Yeah.
he's like, think about what you're saying, Mansell. Why would I do something like that, man? I don't know, Sweetie. Maybe I'm just tired and not thinking straight, but what nags me is that you always get to keep your hands clean, and I always have to do the scut work. Shit.
Yeah. Scut work. That's such an Elmore Leonard line.
Yeah. And of course, like you said, he now Sweetie's fucking reaching behind there and he's just like he's looking down like, oh shit, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
But
he thought he might actually, I mean, even if he had it, let's be honest, he wasn't gonna outshoot fucking Mansell. So that wasn't gonna happen.
yeah,
But
like,
I mean, might as well go for it. I mean,
like, what the hell am I paying you half for? He's like, man, kill the jukebox, Sweetie. He's like, and I'll listen. It's like I'll listen to your raggedy ass tune. And he tells me just look me in the eyes. Yep.
Yeah.
So, boy, the end of Sweetie. So,
R.I.P. Sweetie.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, of course. And his Sweetie's boyfriend, he's doing dishes, and on top of it, then he burned his whole fucking bar down too. Jesus Christ.
I mean, yeah, that's a good one. That's one. I mean, because he knows that there might be
Yeah.
evidence of his stuff in there, and
Yeah.
if nothing else, then he
Yeah.
knows that
Kill that.
he's got he may potentially have the murder weapon hidden around in there somewhere. So
Yeah.
he wants to. So that kind of leads me to believe that the boyfriend did grab the pistol out of there.
Mm,
Maybe he did it thinking that Sweetie would never turn on Mansell, so he was going to have to take matters
yeah.
into his own hands.
Yeah.
Oh,
Of course, you had
go
the one
on.
time. Yeah, I don't know. Probably fucking telemarker. You'll let you keep talking. God damn it. The one time I had the
Uh,
fucking phone on.
pause the stream. Pause the stream. We are experiencing technical difficulties. We do appreciate you being a patronage of the Lord of Toxicity and the Blue Collar Loser. If you'll just hold for one moment while we fix this, thank you so much. Good?
Yes, for fucking telemarker.
Of course it is.
I thought maybe it was an
Anyway,
emergency. Yeah. So,
but
yeah.
yeah, my final thoughts on this way better episode. I like where it's headed now. Like I said last week, I was hoping that it would get itself back on track.
Yeah.
Uh, I hope that it has. I have a bad suspicion. I sent you that link to that other YouTuber that's been talking about the 40 something, whatever, the cranky 40 something guy, whatever he calls himself,
Yeah.
where he's, fussing about how this was pushed out just to uh, promote the message and stuff like that. And again, I get what he's saying, but it doesn't make sense because this was written in 1980.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. There was a TV show based on a book that came out several years ago, Orange is the New Black,
Mm,
and they reworked the book uh, for the sake of the show.
mm,
And it's been understood since then. The fans kind of understood it pretty soon after the first season, but it's been understood since then that they use the main character Piper as
mm.
a sort of Trojan horse to introduce all these other characters and all their stories.
Yeah.
So and to a certain degree, I wouldn't say that would be a incorrect uh, description of this show, where they've sort of used Raylan as a Trojan horse because really thematically, source material wise, and just it would have just worked better to use Raymond Cruz and keep him where he was
Yeah.
and do the story that way. But again, it would have looked like a Bounce original. It would have looked like an Empire show, and there's nothing wrong with that. Those are, especially Empire was very popular,
Yeah.
but they wanted to bring in, uh, the justified audience to this. I
Yeah.
understand it to a degree, but again, they really shot themselves in the foot, pun intended, because they've sort of neutered Raylan, right? And so you're
Yeah.
not giving justified fans what they want. And the
Yeah.
kind of people who would watch Empire or a Bounce original or something like that, the
Yeah.
kind of people who dig that kind of stuff, they're not going to be looking at this show because they're going to see some white redneck cowboy. Now, some of those guys might have liked Justified, but if they did, they liked Justified for being justified.
Yeah.
They didn't like it for this. So really what you wound up doing was alienating both audiences. Now, again,
Yeah.
it's an 8-episode limited series, so it's not going to suffer so much from that,
Yeah.
but it could have found its footing a lot better as it was promoted as an Elmore Leonard original,
Mm,
Raymond Cruz, bringing him in. They could have even had Raylan come in and do like a guest appearance,
yeah.
bringing in those two carjackers
Yeah.
in order to just kind of pique the interest, so it could show interconnected, because I know a lot of people haven't read City Primeval. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a much older, a lot of Elmore Leonard's properties are really old.
Yeah.
They're from our parents age. Thief, 52 pickup, Mr. Majestic, 310 to Yuma, things
Mm,
like that. That's like our parents' generation stuff. I mean, I know they did
sure.
a remake of 310 to Yuma in 2007,
Yeah.
but again, most people would be hard pressed to even know that. Now, somebody like me who's read a lot of the books and I've loved the movies, Out of Sight, Get Shorty, Be Cool, like that, Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed those, but again, I'm of an older generation myself.
Yeah.
So the people that really enjoyed Justified, they may not even like that kind of stuff. I'd actually be interested to know if people who enjoyed Justified liked any of those other Elmore Leonard materials. They may not have, because
Yeah.
Justified was a completely different um, take on an Elmore Leonard property,
Hmm.
which I don't have a particular problem with because I like both.
Hmm.
But this, trying to wedge Raylan in or utilize him as a Trojan horse, I think that was a mistake. I think they really, especially since the actor was not that old, as he did make an appearance in this show,
Yep.
to do Raymond Cruz. He could have and he's definitely a charismatic actor. He
Yeah.
could have carried that. I would have watched it. Maybe they wouldn't have gotten the audience, but again, they wouldn't have pissed off their audience by Trojan horsing in a neutered Raylan.
Yeah.
So again, but I mean, great villain, great dialogue, great story. There was some good tension in this.
Mm.
There was something happening. It didn't meander like the last episode just dragged
I
on and
I
on.
agree.
This one flew by. If I hadn't have taken a 15-minute break in
Mm.
order to watch the drinker's latest video that popped up on my feed, I would have gotten through it a
Mm.
lot faster.
No,
And
I agree.
I have Hulu with ads, so I have to
Yeah.
kind of suffer through that as well. But at
Yeah.
the same time, it just really it snapped. This would be an episode that I would rewatch, as opposed to that abomination that was last week's,
Yeah.
where I man, it was yes, it was very horrible. It was horrific.
I do agree that I could see R anybody saying, but like Raylan, the biggest flaw from this episode would be like that whole fucking daytime fucking park scene. That was like you said, Raylan so much where for him to make such a fucking error like that was kind of yeah.
Yeah, again, I don't see Raylan making a mistake like that.
Yeah.
But again, he has messed with women that he should not have messed with, and to his detriment. He had
Yeah.
that one woman that was in his bar, that was the bartender that stole all of his money. This is not an uncommon mistake for Raylan to make. He had Jackie Nevada. He gets in a gunfight over money that she wound up being the one to take. You had Ava Crowder basically
Yeah.
eluded him, in the very last episode, walking away with the car and the money. So it's not an uncommon mistake for Raylan to make. So I don't have so much of a problem with that. It's a little annoying that it's taken him this long to realize. I mean, you've made the same mistake so many times. Is it
Mhm.
just been so long since you've done this that you don't realize that, anytime that you stick your dick in somebody, that usually winds up being something that causes more problems for you later on, Raylan?
Yeah.
I mean,
And then
yeah,
even from like a narrative standpoint, that does make sense because we saw like, as fans, we haven't seen Raylan in basically 10 years. But from episode one with his daughter, the thing is he moved to Florida, but he's never stopped being a marshal. So
yeah,
it's not like he's out of practice.
yeah.
If
It's
anything,
it's
he should
pretty confusing.
I mean, I'd say if anything, he should be that much better. Because he's been doing it for so fucking long. So
Yeah.
like you said, I can definitely see where this is getting frustrating it does feel like in comparison to Justified. I mean, episode one, we can see that Raylan can still fucking throw hands, he can still pull out a gun, the guy can still kick ass with the best of them, but then why isn't he? And we were kind of hoping that like once
Yeah,
his
why have they nerfed him to such a degree? I
especially
I, I
because
don't get that.
like and even like we are saying the first 2 weeks, I could understand if his daughter's there because well, we've seen it when he beat the shit out of fucking Mansell, looking at his daughter like, oh shit, I gotta hold back and I have to get rid of her now. And that was what we're looking forward to is okay, now that his daughter is gone, now he can be the fucking monster he needs to be. And he
Yeah.
hasn't. Um, like you said, it's definitely better than last week, but it's still, I mean, Sweetie dying wasn't a big shocker to me, but yeah, I do see it's better, but still not the higher caliber, the higher tier that Justified deserves and Raylan deserves. So I'm kind of like it's like you said, I wasn't bored by it, but just like yeah, Raylan's so like for him to say something like, well, I've never seen anybody this lucky. Well, it's like, dude, I mean, and yeah. So we have two more to go, and maybe these last two will be badass. But yeah, it was decent, but it wasn't great. You know?
It was a good solid episode. It kept my
Yeah,
attention. It didn't aggravate me too much, and it definitely moved the plot along. So for that,
yeah,
I am happy. But after last week, almost anything's going to
I
be
know.
incredible, you know what I
Well,
mean?
as we told people, we have 2 more to go, and I mean, we have 2 more weeks, high hopes and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. But I do, like you were saying, I do see why some people get turned off by it. You know?
Yeah, it's definitely they have definitely pulled a Trojan horse with this show, and they did it to their own detriment, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
So I'm not yeah, it was all right. So I guess we'll see what happens next week. I know next week it does say by description that it says next week finally Raylan and Mansell go off on each other, but that's what the thumbnail says. So
Yeah.
we'll
Well,
see.
I mean, but again, what episode is next week? The 7th?
Yes.
So next week is as what they refer to as the ultimate episode, the episode before the final episode.
Yeah. So 2 more weeks, dude. We'll see what happens, guys. But yeah,
All right, guys. Well,
it
better,
was all right.
better episode this week, way better than the last one.
Oh
Definitely a lot
man.
of action, a lot of stuff happened.
Yeah.
More development for. I mean, the MVP for this episode once again is Mansell.
Definitely. Yeah.
Hopefully we can take the restraints off of our nerfed version of Raylan here pretty soon.
Yeah.
I mean, again, the Detroit police are really incompetent. They are terrible at
But
their jobs.
happens in real life too, from what I've heard.
Yeah, they are terrible. But I will say I will say that female Irish cop, she's got an incredible pooper. Did you see
Mm,
that when she turned around? Huh?
yeah.
That
I was.
that
Yeah.
oof. Man, she's got a turd cutter on her. Good
Plus,
job.
plus she's smart because Raylan says 2 words, and hey, you're fucking the lawyer, aren't you? Damn, lady,
Yeah,
you're good.
yeah. Well, he did that to him. He did
I
that to
know.
himself. She is a
Yeah.
detective after all.
All
But
right.
all right,
Yeah. We'll check out. Hopefully next week's pretty good. The penultimate.
the
Yeah.
penultimate episode next week.
All right,
Stay
man.
toxic, everybody.